That's right. Freedom Times News Hour. And I'm Patricia Aiken, and it's great to have your company. Mr. Jake Jackson's agreed to come back today, and if you've heard him before, you'll recall that his red pill was Aaron Russo's America, Freedom to Fascism movie documentary. He's been working every single day since then to not only understand the root of the problems, but the very Achilles heel of our common enemy. So he's plowed his time, talent, and energy for the last 3 years to create the framework for a natural law republic. And so he's calling all activists, renegades, errants, rebels, and mavericks. Our sheer numbers, once unified and focused, will create a breakaway civilization that will restore all power and sovereignty back to the individual where it inherently belongs and starve the predator class of the illegitimate power over us. News Hour, how the heck are you?
I'm doing good today. How are you?
I'm good. I got one of my little creations here. I actually love black licorice, but I can't eat it because it's it's got molasses and sugar and all that kind of stuff. So I've made myself a black licorice soda. It's pretty darn good.
I'm drinking water.
Okay, well that's all right. It's mine's with stevia, nothing to worry about. So, you know what? Here's the thing. They're attacking us from every angle. I mean, there's not one degree here that we're not under attack. And so it's really difficult, or really challenging, I should say, not to keep looking at all that. And I believe in being aware of it, but not being focused on it, and to be able to focus on what we want to create. What would a natural law republic look and feel like to you?
Well, I've been talking about this for the last 3 years, and even though I've only been working on this for the last 3 years because of what happened in 2020, I said, this is the time to finally take that 13 years of research and put it into action. Because I took that 13 years, instead of doing what everyone else does and just obsessing on the problems, I'm like, okay, these are the problems. What is the solution? Right? And that's what I'm focused on. And so my frustration now after 16 years of doing this is just getting people to look at the solutions. Because what I found is people are so trapped in the matrix. And what is the matrix? It's the world that's been pulled over our eyes to blind us from the truth. People have no idea what the truth is. And the truth is natural law. Natural law is all objective truth and reality under one umbrella. That's essentially what natural law is. And if we align with truth and natural law, all the solutions become self-evident, as our founding fathers said when they created the Declaration of Independence. These are self-evident truths. And so that's what I've done with my work. And what I see out there in the world today is, as Thoreau wrote, 150 some years ago, there are 1,000 hacking at the branches of evil to one who is striking at the root. So when you turn on pretty much any podcast today, or look at any article, or go through your social media feed, it's people talking about the problems. Oh my God, can you believe this? Can you believe that? This is so terrible.
We're never going to run out of them.
Right.
I mean, it's so multifaceted. I mean, you could look at that all day long.
Right. And so what I see when I look out at the world today, and again, I've said many times, I'm an observer of society, right? That's what I do first. I observe, and then I process, and I see what I see out there are thousands of people hacking at branches, basically following dead ends. The dead ends being what you're doing right now is not going to result in the dissolution of the New World Order, of the predator class, of the matrix system that's enslaving us all. So maybe we should stop hacking at the branches, and if we all focused on striking at the root, we could achieve our goals. And
I think that's totally important to do. I don't think we need to fix anything. I don't think we need to fight them. I think we just need to create what we choose.
Right. And the biggest thing that really gets to me more than anything is I know the people who are awake. I've communicated with them, and I see what they post, and I know they're awake to the matrix. But then they're all black-pilled. They're nihilistic. They just, I show them my solutions. They're like, oh, that'll never work. You'll never get this many people. I'm like, well, you realize that what you're doing is a self-fulfilling prophecy. By believing that it'll never work, of course, it'll never work. And if everybody believes it'll never work, then guess what? We're going to be enslaved forever, and things are only going to continue to get worse. But what if we all did say, you know what, this can work. This will work. This is the only thing that will work. Because our true power, and like you said earlier, the Achilles heel of the predator class is our numbers. But we have to unite. We have to unite behind one idea. And
the first time I really realized the numbers is when there was that big hurricane in New Orleans and South Texas, and I just saw the numbers of people fleeing from the Gulf Coast, and I was like, oh my gosh, if these people would just wake up and do something, they could never rule over us, ever.
Right. And look at, just use that same situation. Look at all the people that united to help out all those who were devastated. I mean, I was part of it here in Houston, and during Harvey, I went over to an old person's care facility that got completely inundated, and they were bringing them over by boat. We had the Cajun Army bringing people over by boat, and we had to take all the stuff, all the materials into it was an apartment complex. They had empty apartments. They had the meeting facility, everything. I mean, we just all day, just people, person by person, piece by piece, doing it by boat. I mean, that's the only thing that we could do. That's the only thing that saved these people. And so I know that once people decide that, hey, this must be done, that we can do it. I've seen people in action that we can actually do it. They just need to do it. So what I reached out to you earlier this week, and what I want to do here today is all the podcasts I've been on and all the things we've been talking about natural law. We've been talking about this is a solution. Go look at my work, blah, blah, blah. But what I realized is that a lot of people start looking at the videos and the work, and they just never finish. And they get distracted, and they never go back. So what I want to do is let's start at the finish. And let's talk about what kind of world do we want, and then back up and go backwards and say, how do we get there? So that's what we're going to do today.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, so
where do you want to start?
Let's start with the individual. What is our purpose and role? Were we created to be sovereigns, or are we created to be slaves? Simple question. Number one, if we're sovereign, how do we create a system which honors our sovereignty and autonomy? Right? And if we're meant to be slaves, well, then we just do nothing and allow the abuse to continue. So,
well, not necessarily. Even if we were created to be slaves, that's immoral, and we don't have to. We can say no. We don't. We choose not to be slaves. We choose to be sovereigns. We can make a choice.
Right. But I mean, what I meant by that is, we're all slaves to natural law. We're all. Okay. We all have to abide by natural law. But natural law is just. It's not, natural law doesn't abuse us if we don't abuse ourselves or one another. You see what I'm saying?
Okay, yeah.
So natural law is the ultimate judge. So what we need to do is create a system, a new system, which we all will transition to en masse at once, and that system will honor the individual sovereignty of every single person in that nation or natural law republic, whatever you want to call it. All right? And that system itself would be set up to, one, follow all four moral maxims of natural law. And we've talked about those in the past. Two, ensure that all power is held with the individual. Three, ensure that no person or group of people could impose their will upon others ever again. Four, ensure that all attempts at oppression or coercion be immediately suppressed. And five, ensure that a common law court system be maintained to settle all disputes between individual sovereigns. Okay. So that's basically the system that we're setting up, and we're using natural law to build that system. And it's all defined and described in the Constitution for the Natural Law Republic that I've written and offered, and it's founded on the outline of the Constitution that was written in 1787. But I took the outdated stuff and I took the structure that didn't work, that got hijacked, and I created a new system that fully aligns with natural law.
Well, who wouldn't want this?
That's what I'm beating my head against the wall trying to figure out. Like, what is wrong with people?
Listen, folks, our call-in number is 512-248-8252. Again, 512-248-8252. And if you don't want this, call in and let us know what's wrong with it. I'd love to hear. I would love to hear. So the economic system. We think I'm reading a book right now that's pretty interesting. I gotta read it. It's about cryptocurrency, is how it takes the power away and decentralizes all of that. And that and the powers that be are scared to death of it. So that there must be something to it to help that. So anyway, so what's the next step, Jake? What do you need people to know? And I think people need to really focus on this and put weight on it. Like when I create things, we have our current reality on one hand and our desired reality, say, on the other. And there's like a rubber band between them. But you have to put the emphasis on the desired reality, and so it'll pull you into your current reality, into the desired reality. If you keep focusing on today and what the current situation is, you'll never move into the desired reality that you want.
Exactly. You know, I created in my video series, The Path to Freedom, I created 2 parts of that series. Parts 3 and 4 are all about Earl Nightingale's The Strangest Secret in the World. And what is the strangest secret in the world? It's we become what we think about. So whatever dominates our thoughts, that's what we're going to pull into our reality, like you just said. So
That's
if
right.
we're not thinking about this world, a world of sovereignty, individual sovereignty, in a world of no oppression and coercion, we're never going to pull that world into our being. So that needs to be first and foremost in the thoughts of every single person, every single day of our lives. We don't like this world we're living in. We need to pull this one into our reality. So how do we get there? And what's the step right before we create that world is we have to build the critical mass. And then once we hit critical mass, which I'm saying is 10%, I think 10% gives us the safety we need. It's fully decentralized. There's going to be people in all 50 states signing on. And what we're going to do is we're going to, en masse, sign a new Declaration of Independence, every single person, millions of people. And you're going to send it to the people who say that they represent you, your congressman and your senator. And it's going to say, I am a sovereign. You no longer have jurisdiction over me, and I no longer abide by any of your rules under that system. This new Constitution is my new supreme law of the land. Now, 32 million people do that all at once, which is 10% of our population. They don't have the resources to stop it. They simply don't have the resources to stop us. And what we've done is we've just created a new reality.
Well, what do we do with the black pill people? You know, there's a lot of black pill people amongst the truth community. They're like deer in the headlights. They can't stop looking at how corrupt and how the genocidal maniacs that are running this place. Well, how do we help them move over to let's change our focus?
That's exactly why I spent hundreds of hours creating the content that I've created, is because my content is white pill content. My content is, this is the problem, this is the solution. If we all focus on the solution, there's no way we cannot get there to this new world.
Yeah, I agree. That's how things are created. I watched a great video by Bob Proctor last night. He's passed away, but what an amazing man he was. And he knew how to create things.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, like, I listened to Earl Nightingale for years in the 90s before I broke free of the matrix in 1998 when I finally left the corporate world. I was using all that stuff to build a life in the corporate world, and it was destroying me. It was just, it literally, I could feel it sucking my soul, my life force from me. And I just had to get away from it. And so I left the matrix in 1998, and I've been living pretty much as a free, sovereign individual ever since. But I see the world, the walls closing in around me, and I'm not going to be able to live that life much longer if we don't create a system which allows that life for everybody. So let's talk about what the economic. How much time do we have right now? We got a few minutes.
Yeah, we've got a few minutes. We'll be coming up on a break here pretty soon.
Okay, well, let's start talking about what the economic system would look like, because the economic system really is the lifeblood of all human activity.
Yeah, that's why the central banks control it all.
Exactly. We do things every day. We create human beings create all the value in the world. The value is not in the dollar. The value is not in debt. The value is not in the stock market. The value of everything that's been created is in the human labor that created.
That's right. That's how property is created.
Your house, your all your possessions, everything was created by other human beings. That's where the value is in any economic system. The money is just a representation of that value. But what we have is a system that they create, the money they created that we use to exchange the value has been debauched to such a point where they're essentially buying up all of the value in the world, and we're going to, like they keep saying, we're going to own nothing by 2030 and we'll be happy. Well, no, we won't, because we'll be completely enslaved if that happens.
That's right. BlackRock already, and State Bank,
State
Street and all that.
State Street, yeah. And they're also the ones that are behind the whole, woke culture with their CEI and ESG scores that are forcing the hand of the corporations to do these ridiculous things.
Exactly.
And it's all based on the economic system. So what we need to do is create an economic system that would be operating in this natural law republic. And, we'll get into the details and the highlights of what that economic activity would look like after the break. Isn't the break at 20?
Yeah, it's coming up right now. I just hear some music.
Perfect.
I hear a little music. We'll be back, everybody. I'm talking with Mr. Jake Jackson. Okay, I'm anxious to get talking back to Jake again. How long has this been going on? So we all know that song. So Jake, welcome back. And we're talking about the economic situation and money and how that would play out in a natural law republic.
How long has this been going on? Well, at least 6,000 years that we know of, back to ancient Samaria. So let's change the system. How about that?
Yeah, let's create a new one. Yeah, let's not fix it. It ain't broke. It's working exactly like they've designed it to work. So let's just reject it and create what we choose.
Exactly. So obviously the economic system we're in is designed to enslave us and extract our wealth by numerous different mechanisms that they have in place: taxation, inflation, the stock market. This is how they take our money from us, right?
Right.
And so a fair and just economic system based in natural law would not allow debt or speculation of the money supply. So that's number one. The new currency would be based 100% on human labor, because as we said in the last section, that's where all value,
property is created.
All value comes from, even gold. There was that gold commercial in there. The value in gold comes from those who extract it and refine it and create this thing that's indestructible essentially. But the value comes from the people who actually created the coins. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Sure.
So, but
gold isn't worth anything in the ground.
Right, exactly. And it is a good store of value. But moving on, every sovereign in this society would keep 100% of their income. There would be no income taxation. I mean, that alone should get people interested, or at least pique their ears, saying, hey, maybe I should take a closer look at this, because I'm tired of losing half of my income every year to various government taxes.
Right.
So everybody would, in natural law republic,
interest.
keep their, everyone would keep
interest is wrong as well.
Exactly. Well, interest is tied to debt. So no debt or speculation means no interest. There would be a public service administration that would replace government to ensure that the free market system aligns with natural law. And this is all written in the Constitution that I proposed. So these, this is articles. There's 9 articles in the proposed Constitution, and all this stuff is in the Constitution. All right. Humans are created by a creator, right? And so we have rights that are inalienable and immutable, but businesses are created by man and humans, and thus subject to natural law and human control. So in a natural law republic, in the economic system, the thing that's so unjust about the economic system that we have, other than the fact that the money is debauched, is the fact that all businesses, especially public businesses, have what's called a fiduciary duty. And most people don't understand this. The number one fiduciary duty of every single public business is to maximize shareholder value. Well, how do you do that? You rob from every single person along the supply chain, from the extraction of the natural resources to the creation of the product, to the marketing, to the final sale, so you can maximize the shareholder value for people who have no input into that whatsoever. So that's stealing. That system itself is stealing from the laborers of the entire system. So the whole system violates natural law. So in the economic system in a natural law republic, fiduciary duties must be changed from maximizing shareholder value to protecting, number 1, nature, number 2, the employees, and number 3, the customers. So everybody still gets what they want and everybody still gets paid, but all the wealth is restored back to the true creators and not to these shareholders in a system that was set up to rob from Peter to pay Paul.
Exactly.
And
that's all it's meant to do.
Right. And the currency in a natural law republic would be both physical and digital, but the total amount of the currency in a natural law republic would equal the gross domestic product plus 10% to allow for growth. It would be a static amount. Therefore, it can never be inflated. It can never be debauched. And it would just be there for us to go out and live our lives and create what we want, do whatever we want, work for people, create our own business. And the money would be there for us to exchange with one another and create a vibrant and thriving economic system without this parasitical predator class sucking all the wealth off of it via these constructs that they've imposed on us via, these illegitimate authorities called government and, whatever you want to call it. I mean, the system itself has been designed to steal the wealth from the creators of the world.
And it's doing an excellent job of it. It's funny. I remember I was on Maui in 2008 when they were bailing the banks out, and I remember these bankers came up to me, and they were giddy. And they go, oh, and I said, really? They go, well, when you and I print money, they call it counterfeiting, and we go to jail because they say it debases the value of the money. But how come when the government prints it, they call it economic stimulus? It's still stealing.
Right. No, exactly. And so you can even use that argument against the whole cryptocurrency thing too, because they're just creating money out of nothing too. If you bought $15 worth of Bitcoin when it was 15 cents a Bitcoin, and at the peak it was worth 6.5 million, what did you offer to society to create that $6.5 million worth of value? That's the fatal flaw of cryptocurrencies, because it's still speculative. And right. It's still created out of nothing. And it's not something that human labor created a value. It's computers doing programs to ensure trust in transactions. But how about we just return to a world of trusting one another because people are just good people?
That works for me. Okay, hey, we'll be back in just a bit. That's right here, right now, you're listening to the Freedom Times News Hour. I'm Patricia Aiken, and I'm here with Mr. Jake Jackson, and we're talking about natural law republic. So, Jake, how do we create this?
All right, so let's just quickly recap. We have to keep our eyes on the prize. We have a vision of the world we want, a world of individual sovereigns where there's no structure in place that can coerce or oppress us ever again. We just live our lives. We interact peacefully in an open and free marketplace with a currency that can never be debauched. All right? Can we all agree that that's a good goal?
I think so.
All right, so how do we get there? Number one, the current system is never going to allow it. All right? We're never going to vote our way out of this mess. The system that we live in right now is set up to protect itself in every single aspect possible.
If voting changed anything, they'd make that illegal too.
Exactly. So to get to this new world, we have to build up the critical mass to 10%. We get to 10% and everybody signs a new constitution setting up the new system, we can create an entirely new world and walk into this new paradigm without any violence whatsoever. This is a completely peaceful mass action of simply signing 3 documents. So here's how it worked. Once we hit critical mass, we pick a date and we all send the Declaration of Independence to our representatives and we all sign a new constitution. We keep one copy for ourselves, and then we send one copy with our signature on it to a new established public service administration. By the time we get to critical mass, the infrastructure will be in place, okay? But we have to start getting some momentum and getting interest, generated, and people saying, hey, yeah, this is what I want. This is the world I want. We have to create it. And then we would all sign what's called a personal sovereignty social contract. Right now we live in this world of this ethereal social contract that they think the Constitution is protecting us, but it does no such thing. And I highlighted and I pointed that out in one of my videos called The Constitution Confidence Game Revealed. The Constitution has no authority, and if it did, we wouldn't be living under all 10 planks of the Communist Manifesto already. So
yeah, that's what Lysander Spooner said, isn't it?
Exactly. So we need a new system. That's indisputable. So we have to do this outside of the system. We declare our independence from the system by signing the Declaration of Independence. Because everybody is signatory to the new Constitution, that's what gives it its legitimacy. And immediately, even if you're not signatory to the new Constitution, it has more power over anything in existence today, because you got 10% of your population that's saying this is what I recognize as the supreme law of the land, because it recognizes me as a sovereign. It recognizes me as a free human being. So why don't we, if 300 million people sign this new Constitution, you've just effectively dismantled and dissolved government peacefully in one massive action. Is that not the simplest way to dissolve government? I would think it is, because you've got the majority of people saying, hey, look, no, we're done with you. You've abused us our whole entire lives, and we're creating something new. That's all it takes. It's that
Well,
simple.
I think the simulacrum will respond. I think we
Yeah, of course they're going to respond, but that's why we have to do it.
No, the simulacrum, I think that the way that the reality is set up, that's how we create things. And I think this can work.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what, Jake? Even if it doesn't work, and we work on this, and we do everything we can, and let's say it fails, at least we'll have the peace of mind, hey, we did everything that we could do.
Right.
We won't be sitting there going like, man, we coulda, woulda, shoulda done more. Like
Right.
Solzhenitsyn said, if they had just, met with baseball bats or fireplace pokers, it would have stopped. But they didn't do anything. They just let it roll over them.
Oh, absolutely. And so what I've done is I've selflessly sacrificed tens of thousands of hours of my life to create this for people. I put it out there, and the reaction I've gotten thus far is meh, and like nobody really cares. But the people, here's the thing, the people who have gotten through all the work, they fully are on board. They say, this is the solution. This can work. I can see how it will work. And if we do it in the United States, the rest of the world will follow us too.
Oh, absolutely.
We can free the entire world. So, in the system we have, nobody's signatory to anything other than adhesion contracts, which convert our rights to privileges, which can be taken away. So every time you sign something with the government, you've just sacrificed another right. in a natural law republic, you are truly restoring all the rights back to you. You're taking them back peacefully because you're signing on to a new constitution that says these rights are yours and they can never be taken away. And the system is set up to where they can never be taken away because that's the way the system's built. It's all built on natural law. But again, we must build
instead of being one nation.
What?
Instead of being one nation under fraud, like
Right.
we are now, everything is done fraudulently. We'll have a basis of truth. And when you muscle test people, they are strong when something they say is truthful, when they're telling the truth, and when they're lying, they're weak. So I think truth on our side, we get stronger.
No, absolutely. When we have to exercise our God-given rights, our Creator gave us a mind to think and to think critically and to discern truth from fiction. And that's people's minds have been hijacked by the Matrix because most people believe in all these fictions, these lies, and that's what has them trapped and enslaved. And all my work is designed to unlock the mind. And so
I love one of the videos that I appreciated the most from you, Jake, is when you talked about how the term liberal has been hijacked.
Oh yeah.
Liberal used to be a good thing. Yeah. That was a great. All your videos are good, but that one really stands out to me.
Yeah, well, most
Excellent.
people don't understand.
Okay, let's move forward. Let's move forward here. What else needs to happen?
All right, so we have the vision, we have the idea that we all sign 3 documents and send them in, and that creates our freedom, right? We have to get to critical mass before we can get there, before it can be implemented, and we have to build the economic infrastructure before we can make the transition. So that's what needs to happen between now and then. But as we start building the critical mass, we're going to attract, like you said earlier, we're going to attract the people that will help us build this because they want that world as well. Okay? So once we get there, all wealth that you have in this matrix system will be transferred dollar per dollar into the new debt-free system. And that's what's going to create the monetary exchanges in the new system. It's going to be the wealth that you took from here over to here, and we're just going to continue moving forward and exchange with one another. And as people have seen that, hey, wow, this group of people created freedom, I want to go join them, they're going to come with us because we have a system that's 1,000 times better. Education comes first, and that's why I've created all the work that I've done, the videos. That comes first, and that's what creates the idea in people's mind that, yes, there is an option outside of this false left-right paradigm, and that option is called the natural law republic, and we, the people, must create it if it's ever going to come to fruition.
And we got to get started.
Exactly. So the process of emancipation begins with an idea. That idea then must be accepted and shared with one another. All these ideas are in the video series. Ideas are bulletproof. An idea cannot be killed, and this is a leaderless movement because this movement is all about restoring power back to the individual. And once we get enough individuals together to say, hey, yeah, I'm a sovereign, I'm going to declare my sovereignty by signing into this new natural law republic as a sovereign of this new constitution, and that's going to create the new breakaway civilization. Once we do it, the rest will
and
follow.
I just want to, and I don't want to be the only sovereign in my county.
Right.
I want to have a society of sovereigns. I want to be interacting with other sovereigns.
Right, which is why we need to build the critical mass. Once we have the critical mass, we can't be stopped. If people try and do this on their own in little communities, they're going to get destroyed. Look at what they're doing in Canada, burning out all these places that are declaring their sovereignty. This has to be a mass action, and that's what people they're missing this. They think they can do it community by community. This has to be done en masse, and this is the epitome of decentralization because all power is held by the individuals in the society. If someone in the Public Service Administration goes rogue, they can be summoned to a court of common law by any single person in society. If you see
they're not protected by their agency.
Exactly. If you see something happening that you think is violation of natural law, you summon them to court, and because they have a signed social contract that says they agree to appear in a court when summoned, they have to show up and defend themselves. So again, all the checks and balances have been built into the system. that are not decentralized into an executive, a legislative, and a judicial, because as we've seen over the last 200 years, that system can be hijacked by the lobbies, which they have been. The lobbies and the corporation have hijacked that system, and we're left bare without any protection. This is a system that truly does give protection to every single individual in society. It's basically an FU to anybody who wants to come and oppress you or coerce you.
I love it.
And one more thing, it's a system where personal responsibility becomes the de facto standard in society. There is no passing the buck in a natural law republic. So it's part of the four moral maxims. Treat everyone the way you want to be treated. Don't steal. Always honor your contracts in word, and always respect the balance of nature. It's that simple, and we can create it. All we have to do is say, you know what? Yeah, that's the world I want. I'm going to help. I'm going to be part of that critical mass, and I'm going to share this idea with other people. And once we get to 10%, we're gone. We're just exiting the system. We're not fighting the system. We're not trying to tear it down. But once we create this, everyone else will follow us. I guarantee it.
Well, that sounds good to me. But here's the thing. I want to, sometimes people will call and say, well, what about my Social Security payments? And what about, my retirement and things like that? I think if we have all our money and we're not giving 50% of it away or having it stolen from us, and we're not sending it to foreign entities, then we would have enough money to take care of elderly people, to take care of sick people.
And the thing is, the people who are currently on Social Security, all those contracts will be honored in the new natural law republic, because money, as the money is created and given to those people on Social Security, it's just going to go back into the economy anyway. So the money is going to circulate. It's not like we're creating inflation. They're still going to be taken care of. They're still going to be given their money. But the idea of Social Security is going to dissipate. And as people die, the idea of Social Security will go away. And the idea of personal generational wealth, all wealth will be restored to the people. And we won't have to rely on these promises from the government ever again, because you're going to have a nest egg by the time you're ready to retire that you can live off for the rest of your life, because it will not have been stolen from you.
Right, through inflation, through taxation, through the whole thing. So exactly.
And again, it's all because we've applied natural law to the problems, and the solutions have become self-evident. So do we have one more break coming up?
I think so.
All right, so we'll take a couple calls, I guess, after the break. Is anybody called in right now?
Not yet. So 512-248-8252. I hope people will call and say, what don't they understand about this? I think Jake's done an excellent job laying it out for us today, what it looks like in a brief amount of time. I mean, we ask him and he gives us the answer, so I don't see what's not to like here, Jake.
Right. I mean, like I said, it's common sense and it's natural law applied to its logical end. And that's all I've done here, and like I said, I looked at the problems, and going back to the beginning, all I see out there is people hacking at the branches of evil every single day. They're just hacking at the branches, and none of it's going to bring it down. None of it's going to stop us. And the powers that shouldn't be, they love to see that, because they know it's not getting us anywhere.
No, because it gives all our energy to the problem.
Exactly.
And that's what Robert Fritz found out. He wrote he's a liberal, but he wrote some really interesting books about how things when they did focus groups at corporations, the problem never got solved, because they were looking at the problem. Stop looking at the problem and start looking at what you want to create. It's all about what we choose to create.
Exactly.
I'm a broken record. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, when I started writing my book in 2010, I was about 3 years into it. And in those 3 years, from 2010 to 2013, that's when I came across and started learning natural law and critical thinking and the trivium. And that's when the whole focus of my book shifted from, well, I'm just talking about all the problems like everyone else is. I'm going to take this new knowledge and I'm going to start figuring out the solutions. And that's when everything changed. It was right around 2013 when I became solutions focused. And that's what I was focusing on the book until 2017. And then Trump got elected. And I was like, you know what? I'm burned out on this. I'm just going to enjoy my life for a while. And I put the book on hold. But as soon as everything happened in 2020, I was like, okay, this is it. This is my calling. to finally put this all together, and I created the website, thefreedomproject2020.org. I created all the documentation. I created all the videos to show people this is how we emancipate ourselves from the predator class. We have to unite behind natural law. It is the only solution that will work.
Sounds good to me. All right, everybody, stand by. We'll be back in just a bit. Talking with Mr. Jake Jackson. Everybody, I'm back with Mr. Jake Jackson. You're listening to the Freedom Times News Hour. And John from California has been very patient waiting through the break. So, John, thanks for your call today.
Oh, you're welcome. I just wanted to hear a little more from the gentleman doing the speaking. Does he have a website? Or I heard he just mentioned he had a book published in 2010. Is that right?
No, I started writing a book in 2010. I never finished it because it turned into a trilogy that got too big for me. And all that information ended up on the freedomproject2020.org website.
Well, let me write that down. Freedom.
It's you got to put THE, thefreedomproject2020.org.
Oh, THE.
Yep.
freedomproject2020.org.
Yeah, and then there's 8 main sections on there. If you scroll down on the first page, you'll see 8 main sections. And at the top of the home page is all of my social media. So my Facebook page, my YouTube channel, my Twitter, Rumble, BitChute, Odyssey, all the links are right there.
And what is your name again, sir?
Jake Jackson.
Jake Jackson, okay. Hey, as long as I've got you, my specific condition is that I'm already in retirement and I'm depending upon Social Security to get by. I've heard all the rumors about how, our government is going to try to delegitimize or defund Social Security. But what would you say about that subject relative to what you're trying to do?
Yeah, all Social Security, all current contracts with the current government would be honored in the new natural law republic. Like I said, we're creating a new currency, but that currency is just going to get spent right back into the economy, so it's not a loss, and it doesn't create inflation. So everybody who's on a current government contract or Social Security, you will be taken care of in the new natural law republic. We're not going to leave anybody hanging on the vine, but Social Security over time would eventually dissipate because people wouldn't be paying into it anymore. But, when you create a system without debt and speculation, the currency doesn't devalue.
Yeah, you wouldn't need Social Security because you'd have your own nest egg.
Right.
Your money wouldn't have been stolen from you.
Exactly. I mean, that's in the future, but in his situation, there are a lot of people who rely on Social Security and government benefits right now.
That's right.
The people who can work, they would be weaned off of their current benefits, but the people who just can't work and who rely on Social Security, they would be taken care of in this new system because we're not going to leave anybody hanging on the vine.
All of the original contracts will still be honored, and hopefully, that'll be enough for people to get
right.
That. Okay, well, look, thank you very much for taking my call. And again, it's thefreedomproject22.org, right?
2020.
Oh, I'm sorry.
2020.
Thank you very much. I'm glad I asked. Okay.
Thanks for the call, John.
Thank you very much.
And John, if you want to, the videos are there too, but Kaizen in the Pursuit of Truth is KAIZEN, and the Pursuit of Truth is the YouTube channel, but this is on the freedomproject2020.org.
Yeah, and like I said, the YouTube link is at the top of the homepage anyway. So, they can find everything from that homepage.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for taking my call.
Well, John,
thanks, John.
Thanks for calling. Hey, Jake, thank you so much. I appreciate it, and we're going to move forward and let's get this rolling.
Yeah, thanks for your time, Patricia. It's always great to talk, and this is up to the people. The people have to want a better world, and the heavy lifting's been done. People just have to look at it. You have to spend time, pay attention, and look at the work and create the critical mass, and we'll get there.
Right on. All right, everybody. We'll see you next week. Thank you to Jake Jackson. Run over there at the freedomproject2020.org. See you next week.